answer and guide you through why you should be getting started with Twitter.
Excellent.
So today, here we're going to be covering, we're going to answer the question, why? What is Twitter? How it works? How to get started? Some best practices and what some other businesses are doing within the design industry, as well as some other small businesses and major brands.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a very, very special makeover, a little bit of a case study. And of course, we're always going to leave time for questions and answers. But as Eric mentioned earlier, before we get started, we wanted to take a quick poll. So Eric, take it away.
Okay, here's the first question that we are looking for your answers to. It is, I have a personal Twitter account. If you do, please click the yes button. If you do not, click the no button. And if you're not sure, which some people are not, please click that appropriate circle right there. All right, got a few more seconds here. Almost 80% have voted. All right, we're at just about everybody. So I'm going to close the voting. Thank you for participating, and we will share the answers. All right, Georgie, about a little over 2/3 of our attendees do not have a Twitter. About 1/3 do, and that's good that we have no people that are unsure whether they do or not. Great. We're going to go to question number 2, which is for those for the third of you that did have Twitter accounts. Are you active? And we're defining active as regularly following others, trends, tweeting, or retweeting what you see in your feeds. So of the people that do have a Twitter account, please let us know if you are active. All right. Great. And I'm going to close that poll and share that. And it's about 60-40. 60% are not active, 40% are active. So about 1/6, if I'm approximating our 1/6 of our attending audience is active on Twitter, and the other 5/6 either don't have an account or if they do, they are not active. And the third question, if you have a Twitter business account, there's 2 different kinds of Twitter. You can have personal or business. Some people, I guess, could use the same for both. But do you, if you have a Twitter account, obviously, do you have a Twitter for business account? I think everybody answered it's appropriate. And we're going to close that up and share it. So it's roughly about the same as we had for if you had a Twitter account to begin with. Most do not, 2/3 do not, and about 1/3 do. And the last question, if you did have a Twitter for business account, are you active? Meaning, if you have a Twitter for business account, are you actively following trends, tweeting, and retweeting? Very quickly. And we're done with that, and we're split. Okay, Georgie. So we do have some level of involvement here, and some that have a lot. Hopefully, that they're here to learn to see how it could help their business. So, sounds like a perfect segue for you to begin elucidating the topic.
Well, great. So it sounds like we have a great opportunity. I have a great opportunity. Again, my goal today is to inspire you to do something. And for those of you who are already participating in Twitter, maybe enhancing your current efforts. So now let's just talk about why we believe you should be getting involved with Twitter. It's really a great opportunity to establish yourself as a leader in your industry. So if you're a designer, you're a home builder, it's a great opportunity for you to have a voice in a conversation, specific to your vertical. For our home design vertical, Twitter users have a great demographic as far as prospecting, potential and engaging with new customers. Many studies have shown that active Twitter users are more likely to share and endorse companies they follow. I'm not making this up. For those of you who've been to my webinars or my presentations, I don't make this stuff up. There's been statistical studies behind influence of Twitter users. Mm-hmm. It will also help you improve your search engine ranking. Because of the authority that sites like Twitter and other social networks have, it will help improve your visibility overall when people go to Google or Bing to those search engines. It's free. We are going to talk a little bit, I'm going to touch upon advertising just to kind of share that with you, but based on sort of the level of involvement here, the things that I'm going to talk about today, they're free. So this is a great way for you to reach thousands or millions of really potential customers. And the last part is, it is a lot of fun. So for those of you active, I hope you're having fun doing it. I certainly do. So what is Twitter? The official definition for Twitter is that it's a real-time microblogging social media platform. So for those of you who have attended our blogging CEU, which is about posts of 250 to 500 words, Twitter is sort of the micro of that, and it's based on 140 characters, and those are known as tweets. So what makes Twitter different from other social media channels? And many of you maybe have seen this graphic previously, so I love to use it. So unlike other social networks such as Facebook, Twitter's key characteristics are less about profiles and people and more about real-time information sharing and streaming. It's almost like a news information network. So now let's just talk about the universe, the numbers. So today there's over 460 million accounts, Twitter accounts, but more importantly, there's over 100 million active users. That's a lot of people to reach. And these users are generating hundreds of millions of tweets a day. There's all these conversations around varying subjects, every subject you can think about going on daily. The age group, I wanted to talk a little bit about the age group of Twitter users. So there's been a big shift in the last 3 years. So we have seen the younger demographic, that 18 to 29, has had tremendous growth. However, the older demographic, the 30 plus, which is really kind of the people that we would be talking to relative to our industry, is growing at exponential rates. So your potential customers, there is a subset of your potential customers who are now very active on Twitter and having conversations. So I love to show this. There have been some really big moments on Twitter, such as Super Bowl. There was over 268,000 tweets recorded in a given minute. The Grammys had 213,000. Dancing with the Stars, if you're like me and you watch Dancing with the Stars, they get tens of thousands of tweets. So again, there's a lot of discussions going around about subjects.
I'm just very thrilled that Sharknado made the top of the list, because that certainly was a high point of our culture.
Yeah. Oh, so now let's talk the lingo. So first, the tweet. The tweet is 140 characters or less. It's a message you send out to your followers. It's pretty simple. The mention is a public message to someone when you insert the @ sign, causing your tweet to show up in the mention section of that user's account. So again, because I know when you all leave this webinar today and you start tweeting, you're going to be mentioning capital lighting, and when you do that, that will show up on our capital lighting page.
So that's very similar to the Facebook @ correct? When you hit the @ and start typing one of your friends' names, it fills it in, and they get notified that you mentioned them. Yep.
Right, correct. Next is the retweet. I can't talk today. So remember, Twitter is about sharing. So a retweet is when you find interesting tweets from others, like at Capital Lighting, and I'm sure you're all right now running and following Capital Lighting, and you want to share that. So all you do is you just simply click the retweet button to share this message with your followers.
Mm-hmm.
So next is the hashtag. So people insert hashtags into their tweets to provide context. Think about organizing. And that makes them easily searchable for others interested in a specific topic. It is simply a keyword preceded by the hash symbol. So here's a retweet, or not a retweet, a hashtag of, there's obviously lots of discussions about Nelson Mandela. So if I want to see all the discussions about Nelson Mandela, I simply go into the search bar and I put the hashtag and Nelson Mandela, and I can see all the discussions around a certain subject. A message is a private message sent to users. So unlike the mention, which is public, a message is private. So again, after this webinar, I know you'll all be sending me, you're going to be following me, and you're going to be sending me some private messages. And Eric, too, because we like to make friends on social media.
Absolutely.
And trending, so when a term becomes very popular on Twitter, it's termed trending. So Twitter lists these trending terms on its homepage, and these are constantly changing. So I just happened to pull this one up at a moment in time this morning, and you see the Victoria's Secret fashion show is a very popular trending topic. I guess that show was last night, I think.
I missed it.
So when you're thinking about Twitter, the main difference between Twitter and, let's say, Facebook is Twitter is a public social network based on people with shared interests, where Facebook is more about your friends and is private. So Twitter's definitely more of a two-way, ongoing, real-time discussion on topics. Additionally, it's women. They're extremely influential as far as influencing brands, and there is a vast older user base. When you think about, back to my earlier slide, on how the age group, so we're seeing the 30-plus growing and getting much more active. So now I just wanted to talk about specific to the interior design community. Many of the nation's top designers, as well as small regional designers, small business, are aggressively leveraging Twitter with some staggering numbers. So Nate Berkus, 185,000 followers. Holly Becker, 46,000 followers. Veronica Miller, over 12,000. And there's also some interesting profiles out there, such as the Interior Designers Chat, which has over 11,000 followers. And this is really interesting because this is a weekly scheduled conversation. It's on Tuesdays from 6 to 7, and it's between interior designers, architects, home furnishing industry professionals. So specific to us on this webinar today is something that you might want to get involved with, and there's probably other very active groups like that. Also, all of the major home decor brands are on Twitter with hundreds and hundreds of thousands of followers. So why are businesses using Twitter? Branding, for networking, and even today for customer service. Some companies are using Twitter as another mechanism for customer service, just like you would a call center or email. Also, reputation management. You can monitor what people are saying about your brand, and you can respond to them as needed if it happens to be negative. And if it's positive, you certainly want to retweet those positive comments about your brand. And of course, it's a great way, another great channel for prospecting and selling. So another major difference is Twitter is about real time. You can engage in real-time conversations. You can gather valuable insights on what people are saying about you or your business or your industry, trends in the industry. And you can follow real-time events and stories. And so, as I mentioned earlier, a great example of this was the memorial service yesterday that they had for Nelson Mandela. It was really, it was awesome. I don't know if anybody on this call was monitoring that, but people at that stadium tweeting, it was, it almost made you feel like you were there. So it was pretty powerful. Mm-hmm. So we wanted to share just a couple of examples of small businesses that have made it big on Twitter. These are businesses you've never heard of. So first, Foil Cupcakes. They went from 0 to 2,200 followers in just a few weeks. It literally, it put them on the map. Nobody had ever heard of them. This is a funny one. This is a food truck in Utah. They have over 100,000 followers. Kogi Korean barbecue. Supposedly it's really good. And then, when we talk about the big brands embracing Twitter, probably, one of my favorites is the Zappos CEO, who has over 2.6 million followers. And also, they really encourage, over a third of their employees use Twitter. So everybody is engaged in social media, from an internal perspective, or a big percentage of them. So now let's talk about getting started. So the first thing you want to do is go to twitter.com. And they're going to ask you to set up your profile. So when you go to set up your profile, you want to pick a consistent account that and a name across all of your social media if possible. You also want to make sure that you include your location, bio, an image, and your background. And these are great opportunities for you to add keywords to your profile. And keywords are important, as I was mentioning earlier, related to being found in search engines. What do you want to be known for? What terms? Bathroom remodeling in Boca Raton, and those sort of things. So when we talk about customizing your profile, Twitter in the last probably, so for those of you who have an account set up, which was, what did we say, a third of you, if you haven't updated it probably in the last year or a little bit more than a year, Twitter's made a lot of enhancements. So they now have enhanced profiles with things like new header images. And these header images are similar to Facebook timeline, although they're a lot more flexible. And you also have the ability to add other information and announcements about your company. So they've really expanded the profile on Twitter. So again, if you, a takeaway today, if you set up an account 3 years ago and you haven't really touched it from an optimization perspective, that would be what I would hope that today I would inspire you to at least go and update that.
Mm-hmm.
So here's just a few examples of some enhanced profiles. So now, how do you design with the header image? So you simply click on your settings, which is up in the right.
Mm-hmm.
Click on Design and follow the upload instructions. And Twitter will also provide you with the optimal image and file size to use, because there's, you want to make sure that the image fits in there nicely. So they have they really guide you through the process. And then you just click on Change Header. So that's the header image. Now let's talk about the background. Now that you have the header image, you want to have a nice background. So customizing your background will help convey your brand. So you want it to look nice. Now they do have some template background images that are very nice, and there's also third-party websites where you can download background images as well. You'll also want to customize your background image so it complements your header image. And so obviously the folks on this call are in a lot of you are in the design industry, so you really want to have your best foot forward. And again, you just go to your settings, and that's where you can customize your background. And I always like to say you have one opportunity to make a good first impression, and especially since the majority of you on this call are in the visual business. Okay, so now you have a really cool Twitter profile set up, and so now you need to start building followers. So why do you want to do that? You can establish authority, again, going back to what I mentioned earlier about establishing yourself as an authority in your vertical, You can significantly expand your influence, and more importantly, you absolutely can generate leads.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about building followers. So first, establish kind of what your tone is going to be. And this goes back to your brand positioning, not only visually, but from a messaging and tone. but think about your tone as it relates to your social media. So follow and be followed. It is a two-way street. So a great way of building followers is to start following other people like you, and as you're engaging, there's a high likelihood that they'll reciprocate. Use the trending topics to get involved in discussions around your industry. It could, or around your community. It could be community-based. So if you're a designer in Eatontown, New Jersey, or Los Angeles, California, you can even get involved at a local level. Maybe it's networking groups, business networking groups that are on Twitter, and you can use the trending topics for that. You want to use hashtags because you want your messages to be searchable. Include images and videos if you have them. Again, if you haven't been very active on Twitter in the last year or so, they've made a lot of enhancements to the types of tweets that you can use. So you can now use images and videos and that sort of thing. You can also get involved in chats that are relative to your industry through channels like TweetChat. And also promote your Twitter everywhere. That's your email signature, your other social media, and your website. So if you've been on our other webinars previously, we've talked about, let's say for Facebook, how to build fans on Facebook, and I think one of my suggestions was integrate that with your other marketing. So have it all work together, because when you think about people who want to do business with you or engage with you, let them choose how they want to engage with your brand. So this is just another channel. So just promote the fact that you have that you're on Twitter. So there are the best times to tweet, and that would really increase the likelihood that someone will share your content, and it's not surprised that sort of the peak week, I call it peak week, Monday, that Monday through Thursday time period in the 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is just kind of based on data that they've collected. While people are at work, they're tweeting. We say like online shopping. They're shopping they're shopping at work.
Mm-hmm. It happens.
So hopefully they're all these people tweeting are tweeting for their business, right? It's all for business. So tips to improve engagement. So the character limit is 140, but what we recommend is use around 100 characters or less. You want to add links, and the links will help for people getting to your website and that sort of thing. So you might have, let's say, a blog post, because if you're blogging, you can include that link on Twitter to drive more traffic to your blog. Again, you want to tweet often, and I'm sure one of the questions is going to be, so I'm just going to answer it. How often should I be tweeting?
Yep.
So, to really be effective, you should be, if Nirvana is multiple times a day, I would say based on our group today, and we're just talking the basics, we're not even talking about we'll have a Twitter 2.0, trust me. But if you can commit to once a day or 3 times a week, but just remember, when you're not tweeting, you're not in the discussion. So the discussions are real time. So certainly when there are there's news or trends or announcements that are relevant to your industry or vertical, you absolutely should be tweeting that, for sure. And it could even be, I'll give you a great suggestion, maybe while like the DIY channel, a very popular show on the DIY channel, because they've really integrated social media, is that might be a good time to be engaged in those discussions when people are talking about design or remodeling or that sort of thing. But definitely tweeting as often as possible. So, you know, again, set a realistic goal for yourself to tweet.
And to that point, Georgie, I mean, just like in Facebook, you know, to get a friend, you have to be a friend. I assume the same is true for Twitter. If you want some followers, you got to follow other people. You might be hitting that later on in the presentation.
Yeah,
but,
I think I mentioned that in the previous slide.
Right.
Follow and be followed.
So would you say follow 10 times more than, you know? Would you say engage or try to engage 10 times more than you try to talk? I mean, is there some sort of rule of thumb of how much? Say, you know, you start out slow. You want it 10 minutes every couple of days, and probably more of the time would be spent looking for people to engage with, and maybe, you know, tweeting or retweeting what they have to do, what they've posted.
So I don't know that there's a rule of thumb, and there's certainly opinions, you know, in the industry. But certainly, as you're just getting started, you know, identifying influencers in your vertical and following them and retweeting will give, you'll have a higher likelihood that they will then follow you. And then it's the rising tide. And then they're following your tweets, and they'll have a high likelihood of being retweeted. So certainly, as you know, just based on the poll questions and kind of where I think everybody is on this call, certainly spending some time identifying people to follow and retweeting will make you popular with them, and there would be, you know, a higher likelihood that you know, they're going to follow you because now you're on their radar screen.
Right.
So as I mentioned earlier, you want to use images and video if you have them. So, you know, for instance, Capital Lighting, we have a lot of video, so that's, you know, a bigger part of our strategy. And the video doesn't have to be professional. So you might share a video of a before and after, pictures of a before and after, and that sort of thing. So Twitter can now be used in that way as well as some of the other social channels we've, you know, talked about in the past. So here, connect with your other social media. So many of the social channels sort of let you, for lack of a better term, cross-pollinate. So, for instance, when I post an update, a status update on LinkedIn, I have my Twitter account attached to my LinkedIn account. And so what happens is when I post something, it automatically posts on Twitter. So I'm kind of getting double duty there. And then I have my Twitter attached to my Facebook. So my strategy, because I'm time deprived just like everybody here on this call, is I'm posting, you know, for business, is I kind of start with LinkedIn, you know, because I want to be very efficient, and then it ends up in, it ends up on Twitter and on Facebook. So that's another way to sort of get, at least as you're just getting started, get the biggest bang for your time. And actually, you also want to request a retweet. By spelling out, please retweet. And I have a great example of this. I hope it doesn't offend anybody. I'm not trying to be political. But this was, this worked amazing for the last, presidential campaign. They actually, in all their tweets, asked for retweets. And it's okay to do that, by the way.
So that's what RT means, right? RT?
RT, yes. RT is retweet. Retweet. I'm really having a hard time saying that today. Okay. So the next thing is integrating Twitter on your website or your blog. So I'm sure you've seen this on many websites or blogs, the ability to retweet, to share it, So for instructions on how to do this, to add the Twitter widgets to your site or your blog, you could just simply go to Twitter, and they give you kind of a step-by-step. It's pretty easy. Probably most of you that have a blog or a website probably have somebody that's managing it for you or updates it, or you make your kid do it or whatever. It's really straightforward, and it's not some big programming nightmare. It's usually pretty straightforward. And for instance, like with all of, let's say you were using a WordPress blog, that's an out-of-the-box module on most major like Common Blog or even website platforms. So the next thing I just wanted to touch upon just briefly, because Twitter has come out with lots of new advertising tools, because I guess they want to make money just like everybody else. And it is a way for you to introduce new products and that sort of thing. So, or if you have an event, so for instance, like this webinar, we have used Twitter to have what they call, promoted posts, and it's very easy, self-serve platform. If you run some Facebook ads and that sort of thing, or even some Google ads, it's a pretty easy interface as far as running advertising. I guess for this group, based on kind of what the makeup of.
Did we just lose Georgie, or did I lose you?
No, I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm here. I just got a weird message in my ear. There was someone talking to me. So anyway, based on this group, I'd say that's going to be a phase 2. But I did want to mention it for anybody who has something and has a budget for social media and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So now let's go to our very special Twitter makeover. Our friend, my friend, and the president of Capital Lighting is Eric Lieberfeld. You guys all know Eric. And Eric had a pretty basic and boring Twitter.
Thanks.
He just sort of, you did. I'm sorry. But I mean, a lot of people, and it sounds like I guess if I polled after this, probably some of you fit into that category. You kind of checked it off the list. You started a Twitter. It's that what I see out there is that's kind of what people have done. They've just kind of started, with the basics. And we know that Eric is not boring, so we definitely wanted to fix him up.
Thank you.
So our strategy was we wanted to create an engaging image and background that was more reflective of Eric's personality. We also worked with Eric to increase his followers through the various tactics we talked about today, and I'm always reminding Eric he needs to tweet more. So that we all, I like to say, eat our own dog food, right? And we worked with him on his tone and voice. And so the result of that is I think Eric now has a great presence on Twitter. He's making lives brighter. That's something that's a mantra for not only capital lighting, but it is certainly a mantra personally and professionally for Eric, and he's a good-looking guy, so we wanted to have a nice picture there.
Thank you.
Eric is now raring to go. So when everybody gets off this call, make sure you're following Eric and you're retweeting all of the great stuff that he shares. He shares inspiring stories. It's not just about lighting. It's about, various things. So just to give you kind of some context on what you could do. So some tips for success. Again, create a consistent social media presence. So if you can, use the same URL, so twitter.com/ you're going to make it a business. It might be ABC Design, or it could be George Ann Brown. So for instance, in my social media, let's say for Big Couch Media Group, we have, it's twitter.com/ Big Couch Media Group, and it's the same on Facebook and the same on Pinterest. Now, if you can't do that, you may have to modify that just because it may not be available. So you might have to, you might have to modify that strategy. But if you can, that would be great. Write an awesome bio. I mean, really tell people whether, again, and there's probably going to be a question about personal and business, and my thoughts and my perspective is, if you can, you should have both. And if you can't, and let's say you're a small interior design firm with a couple of people, or you're a sole proprietor, then you could do it under your just under your personal. And it depends on what you want to be sharing on your personal Twitter. And we're really talking about how to use it for business here. Aggressively follow others in your industry. Goes back to our discussion. It's a two-way street, and you want to be following them and retweeting and eventually some of those people will become your followers, and their followers may become your followers. Customize your profile with imagery, and just tweet. Regularly. Use video, use images, be engaging, and make sure that you're retweeting. So why should you do this? I hope we've sort of crossed over there. It's free, and your prospects, a subset of your potential customers, are on Twitter. It's another channel, just like Facebook, just like Pinterest, just like LinkedIn, just like other marketing channels that you use. And this is free. Everything other than the advertising that we talked about today is free. So unlike other social channels, let's say like Facebook, It's only 140 characters. So you could do this in 5 minutes, in 2 minutes, or 10 minutes. It's real time, so you can get involved in conversations as an expert on very current topics and trends. And that goes back to what I was suggesting earlier. It could be during those home design shows, remodeling shows, and that sort of thing. And even like decorating for the holidays. There's probably I didn't look that up, but there's probably a hashtag decorating for the holidays. You could get involved in those kinds of discussions. This is a great way for you to stay closer and in contact with your customers. Again, you're giving your customers or your prospects another channel to engage with you. Twitter users are influencers for companies and brands. It's the studies show. Again, I'm not making any of that up. They are absolutely influencing brands. It's not going away. So if you're not doing it for the, what was it, the 2/3?
Right.
The 2/3 not doing it, it's really not going away, and it's actually will continue to grow. And one point I didn't really, I didn't point out before this is, think about today, people are connected all the time. It's the always connected consumer. So a lot of people today use Twitter only on their mobile device, whether it's their smartphone or their tablet. So just it's growing just by virtue of connectivity, and so it's not going to go away, and it'll always be changing as well. So next year, or in 2014, when we talk about Twitter 2.0, it'll probably be a refresh, because by then, they'll have new features and functionality and that sort of thing. And it is, it is a lot. It's a lot of fun, for sure.
Great.
So, well, thank you so much for your time today, and I hope you're inspired.
Yep.
I hope we're inspired, and now we'll take some questions. For sure.
I have a question. It says, do you post every post to LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter? Meaning, yeah, I saw that cartoon today too. I love that.
I just had to share that. I should have probably saved that, but I love that because we're in Florida, so I just.
Yeah.
I wanted to be mean.
Yes, you're a mean human. When you said you linked your Facebook, your Twitter, and your LinkedIn, and I think you were starting it at LinkedIn and had both of those flow through to Twitter and Facebook. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I start with LinkedIn, and when you do a post on LinkedIn, it'll prompt you to say, because I've connected my Twitter account with my LinkedIn, but it prompts me to say, do I want to share it on Twitter? And so sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. But I would say I probably do it more than I don't. And then my Twitter account, and this is all done in the settings. So in LinkedIn, you go into your settings, and it's really easy. It says, do you want to link Twitter? And you just have to put in your credentials. And then my Facebook is linked to my Twitter account. So it just it flows through. And it makes it kind of easy, especially if I'm, Nirvana is you have kind of unique posts and unique content for each channel, because each channel is a little different, but as busy business people, and we want to be engaged on social media, and especially for those of us on this call who are just sort of either thinking about getting started or have started but don't really do anything, that's just kind of an easy way to sort of get you in the rhythm.
Mm-hmm. And would you say that, I mean, I could see, LinkedIn is definitely more business related, where Twitter has aspects of both, business and Facebook has aspects of both. I could see having more of a connection between Twitter and Facebook than perhaps LinkedIn and both of those two. But I guess you have the choice whether to connect it or not on a.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And what's interesting from a business-to-business perspective, yes, LinkedIn is number one for the social channels for business-to-business, but Twitter, and as far as generating leads, but Twitter is a very close, not very close, but it's above Facebook. When it just comes to, when we're talking about B2B and lead generation, it's
right.
a great, it's a great channel. But you have to get involved in the right discussion.
Georgie, there's been a few questions, I guess, about the communications in Twitter, specifically using hashtags or doing mentions. If you could go back to slide 14. Where you reference hashtag, and I guess the one before it is slide 12 is a mention and a retweet. Just to go over that again, the differences and how you do a mention, a retweet, and a hash, and what's a hashtag and why you would use a hashtag.
Okay. So so a mention is when you're creating a tweet and you want to mention another company or a person.
And all you do is type the @ symbol, shift 2, and then their connection.
Correct. So, for instance, this was an example of a mention that we did with Vanilla Ice, because we have a partnership with Vanilla Ice. So what happened when we mentioned with @Vanilla Ice, because that's kind of his account, right? It's like, that's a profile, it's an account, that showed up in his stream. That showed up on his, his Twitter.
Does he have to allow it? Does he see it saying that you got mentioned, show it in your feed, or it automatically shows up in his feed?
It shows up.
Okay.
Yeah, it
All
shows
right.
up. Okay. And so was there a question on the retweet?
No, there actually wasn't specific on retweet. It was just two on mention and one on hashtag. Yep.
Okay. So a hashtag is about creating context. So what that allows is it creates a subject across Twitter. It's not a person, it's a subject. So this example I used here was, I pulled this up today.
Lost you for a second there too.
Yeah.
You're back.
I keep getting that
no
go-to webinar lady. So this hashtag Nelson Mandela, this isn't Nelson Mandela, the company or the profile. This is all the conversations that are aggregated about Nelson Mandela. So if I want to see all of, let's say another example would be if you did interior design. So you could do hashtag, interior design, and you could see all the discussions, all the conversations going on around that subject that includes that hashtag. Does that kind of answer the difference between them? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's a topic. It's a topic as opposed to a person. Right. The @ or the profile, or the number sign, or the hashtag, actually. Perfect. Right. No, I think I got all the questions answered, and we are at an hour. So I'll just say thank you. Go ahead.
I just want to mention one other thing. I'm just offering this up because we talked about the message. This is a private message. Anybody who has any questions, about this webinar today, you could private message me on Twitter.
And we'll be sending up a follow-up email, which will have Georgie's email. Maybe we'll put your just look for Georgianne Brown, and you will find her on Twitter. But maybe we'll just put that link right to your Twitter profile for all those people to connect. Make it simple in the follow-up email. But thank you, as always, Georgie. You were very clear, and I hope everybody learned something. And like I said, we're going to be sending up a follow-up email, and if you are registered with IDCEC and you gave us that number for you, you'll be getting your CEU credit automatically. And if there's any questions, please send an email or reply to the email that I send to you. As a registered pro, if you are hopefully a registered pro or soon to be a registered pro, you'll have one of the benefits I just want to talk a second about is our Expert Finder directory. It's a free service that provides you the opportunity to put your profile out in front of the tens of thousands of visitors to our site that we get on a monthly basis, and it lets you talk about your credentials, any awards, and most importantly, images of your projects. Also, a new program that we began a few months ago is a guest blogger program. If you have something that you'd like to share with the wider design community and don't have a blog of your own, please let us know. We'll be happy to work with you to create a great blog post and publicize your work. Just let us know and we'll get it started. And this is our last webinar of the year. 2013 is coming to a close, so I just want to take this opportunity to thank you all for allowing us to fulfill our mission at Capital Lighting and 1-800-Lighting.com of making lives brighter. We hope to see you all again on one of our webinars online or in any of our showrooms real soon. So I wish you a great rest of your week and a most joyous holiday season. Take care, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks a lot.